Hello there, welcome to my channel. In this video I would like to speak a little bit about Saturn's transit through Capricorn and how it will affect the sign of Gemini, both Gemini sun sign and Gemini rising or ascendant sign. And Saturn is transiting each house of the zodiac for approximately 2.5 years. Sometimes it retrogrades and it goes back into the previous house, but this is not the case this time. But the point is that it takes approximately 30 years for Saturn to come back to the same place again. So the last transit of Saturn through the sign of Capricorn happened 30 years ago, and we experience usually two, or if we are lucky and live that long, three Saturn transits through the same house. Like now, the next transit through Capricorn will happen 30 years from now. And in your case, Saturn will transit your 8th house. The 8th house is about pregnancies, it's about shared resources, and it is about death and debt and things like that, inheritances. And depending on your own situation, life and age and so on, this transit can make pregnancy difficult. And it's not like some of you might have problems, of course, with fertility, but others might have problems because you have an unwanted pregnancy when maybe you are not ready, or you are too young, or you don't have enough money and so on. And if you might choose to have an abortion in this case, but make sure that it is your decision. Whatever decision you make, it's important that it is yours and you have thought it through, and that it is responsible, because this is what Saturn is about: responsibility and making wise choices and decisions and so on. And also right and wrong, of course. But even if you choose to give the child for adoption, because that's common, I believe, in the United States, can you take it? Can you handle it? Is it the right choice? Or will you do everything that you can to keep that child, instead of because you have to make sure that you have thought this choice through. Because even when you give out children for adoption, they feel quite lost in most cases and so on. So you have to think things from all perspectives. And the 8th house is also about personal development. It is about asking the hard questions too. It is not impossible that during this transit you experience loss, in the sense that somebody that you know around you, close to you, a family member, is approaching, or not necessarily dies, but experiences a life-threatening situation. And this will force you, if you are younger, to question or to face your own mortality. And therefore this transit can be interesting for you, because the big questions will be asked, and many people live like they will live forever, and they never think once about the fact that what we do in life is very important, and that at some point we leave, and we leave also with a memory of us, of what we have accomplished or destroyed. Have we had a good impact here, and so on. So in a sense, Saturn teaches us that life has an end on this earth. What happens thereafter, it's beyond the point of these discussions, and everyone has different opinions. But it's good to have a perception that at some point life will end, that we all are born and indifferent of religion and origin and status and occupation, uh, physical disabilities or whatever it might be, we all end up at some point um, in a grave, you know. So this is also something that could be that you will have to face during this transit. Otherwise, when it comes to shared resources, if you expect money to come from other people, from the state, this source might be a little bit stricter. You know, even in things regarding inheritances and money that you get from any other source, you know, it's not easy to get those money during this period of time. So it will force you to maybe live within certain limits when it comes to finances. People won't be too generous around you. Some of you might have to pay debts and so on. So it could be for some of you difficult financially, or you have, but you can also make great investments and you take a responsibility there. You know, maybe you take a bank loan, but you at the same time you invest in something great. So if you do it wisely and responsibly, as and you know what you are doing, just like Saturn wants you to, Saturn rewards you. So it will give you good you know, you will only have things to gain from everything. But if you are just floating and not knowing exactly what you are doing and taking a risk and the chance there and so on, it could have negative consequences and so on. So Saturn is all about growing up. It's about maturity. It's about wanting to take the hard road in life, wanting to have the mature responsibility. It's about wanting to grow and to become a better or a more moral person in this world, you know. And the more resistant we are with Saturn's lessons, the more difficult life or transits we usually experience. So the quicker you get the hang of Saturn in Scorpio, the better. Of Saturn in Capricorn, excuse me, the better it will be for you. And there is the sextile to Jupiter in the 6th house of work and health, which could mean that great improvements could be made with a healthy lifestyle. You could also invest money, put to good use. The opportunity will be there, or there will be investors that are serious that could invest in your own business as well, because the Scorpio, where Jupiter is your 6th house of work and health. And then there will be eventually this trine to Uranus in Taurus, which is your 12th house. So there will be I spoke about this you know, mortality thing and so on, how we develop spiritually, and how important it is to be aware that life ends at some point, that we live limited time spans on earth. It shouldn't be depressing. It rather should be encouraging us to live better lives. And you know, with this trine, the Saturn trining Uranus in your 12th house, it's quite powerful in Taurus, because you will have this spiritual, at least one great spiritual you know, maybe some spiritual experience, I mean to say. Maybe it's a dead relative pays you a visit, or you have a dream that will really make you feel and understand that it was something unusual, somebody, some entity coming from another world, an angel, a spirit guide, or anything, you know, or a sudden insight that can be life transforming and changing and so on. So the eighth house is also about inner power, inner strength, and some people do not develop inner strengths. They develop instead the ability to manipulate people and events around them, and they hamper their own inner personal progress. So instead of doing the hard work of working with oneself, these people notice what other people want and need, and it's easier for them and try to control them. So during the Saturn transit, if you are trying to control others or manipulate others, but you do it in an unethical way, again, it will have negative consequences for you. So it's better to find a balance there, so that you learn to handle people and situation, and to cut your way through some things without by your inner strength or your conviction, instead of having to try and manipulate others. So this is approximately everything that I have to say about this transit, and I hope that it was somewhat helpful or at least entertaining. Thank you for watching.